Honey, I think I'm in love with someone else. My wife, Ava, kept her head down, her voice barely above a whisper. The fork in my hand, halfway to my plate, froze in midair. A sharp throb pulsed at my temples. I pressed my fingers against them, hard. I didn't yell. I didn't demand an explanation. After a moment of pure, ringing silence, I looked at her and asked 3 questions. When did this start? How far has it gone? Who is he? She seemed surprised by my calm, finally looking up, her eyes darting away from mine. It's the scholarship student we've been sponsoring, Leo Vance. And nothing has happened. Physically, I remembered. If you ever fall out of love or fall for someone else, just tell me. I'll walk away with dignity. That was the promise I made to her when I proposed. Looking at her now, I realized how wrong I'd been. My composure wasn't forgiveness. It was the dead, suffocating calm before the storm. Chapter 1. My name is Ethan Cole. In 3 years of marriage, I can honestly say I never denied Ava anything. She loved designer bags. I never looked at the price tag. She loved to travel. I walked away from billion-dollar deals to see the world with her. She had a soft heart, and when she wanted to sponsor a low-income college student, I didn't think twice. I set up an annual transfer of $50,000 to cover his tuition and all his living expenses. I gave her everything I could, except for one thing, a true identity. She always thought I was just a well-paid corporate executive pulling in a high 6-figure salary with a nice apartment and car in the city. She didn't know I owned the company. She didn't know that nearly half the commercial real estate in this city was under my name. I thought this simple, quiet happiness would last forever. Until today, until she told me she was in love with the charity case we were both paying for. I looked at her face, her makeup perfectly applied, now filled with a longing for a new romance and a sliver of guilt for me. Ethan, I'm sorry. I know this is incredibly selfish of me. Ava's voice trembled as she tried to find the right words. Leo and I, we have a spiritual connection. He may not have money, but he has drive. He has dreams. There's a fire in his eyes that I just don't see in yours anymore. Being with you, life is comfortable, but I feel like a bird in a gilded cage. I can't breathe. A spiritual connection? I repeated the words softly, a cold smile touching my lips. So you think he's better than me? That's not what I mean, she said, rushing to defend herself. You're a good man, Ethan. We're just not right for each other anymore. Leo, he makes me feel alive. He gives me the feeling of being in love. Love. I laughed. It was a quiet sound, but it made the color drain from Ava's face. Okay, fine, I said, nodding. I pulled my hands back from the table and stood up. Since you've made your decision, I'll honor it. I looked her straight in the eye and said, word by word, as we agreed, we'll get a divorce. I'll walk away with dignity. A flicker of relief crossed Ava's eyes. She thought it would be that simple. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you for letting me go. I didn't look at her again. I turned and walked in my home office. Closing the door, I shut out her hollow words of gratitude. I took out my phone and dialed my assistant. Hanson, I said, my voice devoid of all warmth. The reply from the other end was immediate and respectful. Mr. Cole, how can I help you? First, have our lawyers draft divorce papers. I'm leaving with nothing, but all properties and vehicles currently in my name are to be recalled. I want Ava to receive the notice tomorrow. Second, run a full check on a Leo Vance, a junior at Northwood University. Effective immediately, cut off all funding, and have a word with the dean at Northwood. Tell him I said the student has a character issue and that they should handle it accordingly. Third, send out a memo. My corporation and all its subsidiaries and partners are to permanently blacklist the name Leo Vance from all future employment. I want to make sure he can't find a job in this city that pays more than minimum wage. Hanson was silent for a beat. Then, in a steady voice, he replied, Understood, sir. Should I report back to you once everything is handled? No need. I hung up and walked to the massive floor-to-ceiling window. Outside, the city lights glittered like a river of stars. Ava, you want love? You think that charity case has drive? I'm going to strip him of everything I gave him. I'm going to let you see just how much his precious drive and love are worth when he has nothing. You want to experience a life outside the cage? Fine. I'll let you taste what real suffering feels like. Chapter 2. The next morning, I left the apartment without saying a word to Ava. This place, which I had personally designed and furnished, filled with 3 years of our memories, was no longer my concern. Ava probably thought my version of leaving with nothing meant I'd leave the condo and the car to her. She was so naive. What I meant was that I would leave this home with nothing but the clothes on my back. As for the assets, sorry, but the condo is registered to my family's trust. The Porsche she drives is leased under my company's name. And every single one of those designer bags and pieces of jewelry in her walk-in closet, worth millions, was bought with a supplementary credit card tied directly to my account. Everything I gave her, I can take back. At 9 a.m., I was sitting in my office on the top floor of the Pinnacle Tower, looking down at the city sprawled beneath me. Hanson knocked and entered. "Mr. Cole, the divorce papers have been delivered by the legal team." Ms. Miller's reaction was strong. She broke down on the spot and is demanding to see you. "I won't see her," I said, taking a sip of my coffee. "She's saying you tricked her, that you're being cruel." Cruel? I let out a short, sharp laugh. Did she think she was being kind when she cheated on me? Also, Northwood University called. Hanson continued. Dean Williams said they reviewed Leo Vance's file and found several prior incidents of academic dishonesty that were swept under the rug. With your inquiry, they've immediately initiated expulsion procedures. The official notice will be posted tomorrow. Excellent. I nodded, pleased with the result. "One more thing, sir." Hanson's expression was strange. After we cut the funding, Leo Vance's first call was to Ms. Miller. According to the intel we gathered, he didn't comfort her. He demanded to know why the money had stopped and if she had done something to anger you. The smile on my face grew colder. See? This was the man Ava described as full of drive and dreams, the one who could give her love. Before I could even make my next move, they were already at each other's throats. "Keep an eye on them," I said coolly. "I want to know their every move." "Of course." Hanson nodded and left. The office was quiet again. My phone began to vibrate relentlessly. The screen lit up with the name my wife. I watched it ring until it went silent. Then, the text messages started flooding in. "Ethan, what is the meaning of this? You said you'd leave with nothing. Does that mean kicking me out on the street? This apartment is in your name, but we're married. I'm entitled to half of it. You're a monster. I'm going to sue you." "Ethan, pick up the phone. You liar. Please, I'm begging you. After 3 years together, you can't do this to me." I read the messages with a blank expression, feeling nothing. 3 years together? That ended the moment she decided to betray me. I picked up my phone, changed a contact name from my wife to Ava Miller. Then, I blocked the number and deleted the conversation. Silence. The game is just beginning. "Ava, you think this is the end?" "No, this is just the appetizer. I'm going to make sure you and your love walk step by step into the personal hell I'm building for you." Chapter 3. After I blocked her number, Ava started frantically calling my office. The receptionist patched the calls through to Hanson, who stonewalled her every time. In the afternoon, Ava's mother, my soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law, stormed the lobby of my building. Security stopped her, so she threw herself on the floor and started making a scene, screaming that I was a heartless bastard who had cheated her daughter and was now throwing them out on the street. Hanson watched the drama unfold on the security monitor. "Mr. Cole, should I have security escort her out?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "Let her scream." I wanted everyone to see exactly what kind of people they were. They certainly weren't acting like this when they were trying to get on my good side. I remember it perfectly. When Ava and I first got married, her mother came to our penthouse for the first time. Seeing the place, which was worth over $10 million, her eyes practically lit up. She held my hand, calling me her wonderful son-in-law, saying Ava must have done something great in a past life to deserve me. Later, she started dropping hints, saying her son needed a place to live and that it would be great if I could gift them the 2,000-square-foot apartment I owned downtown. I refused. After that, her attitude toward me cooled considerably. She was always making passive-aggressive comments about how I didn't treat them like family. Now I saw everything clearly. They never loved me. They loved my money. The chaos in the lobby lasted for over half an hour. My ex-mother-in-law screamed until her voice was hoarse. Seeing that I wasn't coming down, she finally gave up and was politely escorted out by security. A short while later, Hanson came in again. "Sir, Ms. Miller and Leo Vance have gone to the apartment we were renting for him. The apartment I rented for Leo was a high-end unit near the Northwood campus, with a monthly rent of $5,000. I was curious to see how they plan on paying next month's rent now that my funding was cut. Are they inside? Yes. Ms. Miller had a key. Put the apartment on the market. Sell it, I said without a moment's hesitation. Have an agent start showing it tomorrow. I don't want 2 dogs living in my property. Right away, sir. That evening, I received an unexpected call. It was from Ava's father. My ex-father-in-law was a quiet, decent man, a high school history teacher who rarely said much but was always reasonable. As soon as I answered, he let out a long sigh. "Ethan, I'm so sorry." "You don't have to apologize," I said, my tone respectful toward him. "This has nothing to do with you. I failed as a father. I didn't raise her right, and she did this foolish thing," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion and guilt. "Her mother doesn't know any better, either. I'm sorry for all the trouble they've caused you. I've already yelled at them both. What's done is done. There's no point in talking about it. I know you're angry, and whatever you do to them, they deserve it." He paused, his voice turning pleading. "But, for my sake, could you just leave her with a way out? Don't be too ruthless. After all, she was your wife." I fell silent. "My wife? What a joke." "Sir, you're a good man," I said slowly, "but good men shouldn't plead for fools. Ava is an adult. She needs to be held accountable for her choices. I gave her a chance, and she threw it away. As for a way out," I let out a cold laugh. "Don't worry, I won't let her die. I'll let her live. I'll let her live a long life, so she can watch as the love she chose gets crushed to dust by reality." With that, I hung up the phone. Mercy? I used up all my mercy in my last life, the day Ava found out who I really was and knelt before me, begging for forgiveness. Oh, that's right. That was the last life. This time, I won't give anyone the chance to betray me again. Chapter for the next day. A bright red banner appeared at the top of Northwood University's official website. Official decision regarding the expulsion of economics major Leo Vance. The announcement detailed Leo's history of academic misconduct over the past 3 years, including plagiarism, cheating on exams, and even accusations of harassing female students. Every charge was backed by solid evidence. The notice hit the university's online forums like a bombshell. Holy SD, Leo Vance got expelled? Isn't that the inspirational scholarship kid they always paraded around as a success story? Inspirational my ass. You never know who people really are. Harassing female students? That's disgusting. I heard he was shacking up with some rich lady. He was always decked out in luxury brands. Didn't seem like a poor student at all. Is that true? I think I saw him with a really beautiful older woman in a Porsche. Wait, wasn't that Ava Miller from the business school? I heard her husband is a big-shot CEO. Hold on, this is a lot to process. So Leo was the other man. The story went viral. Within a single morning, hashtags like hashtag Northwood Success Stories a Homewrecker and hashtag Model Student Exposed were trending locally. Leo Vance was finally famous. I could only imagine the look on his face when he saw the announcement and the flood of online commentary. The inspirational image he had carefully crafted for years had crumbled to dust overnight. And this was only the beginning. That afternoon, a real estate agent, with the first group of potential buyers, knocked on the door of the high-end apartment. Ava answered, dressed in her pajamas, her hair a mess. She stared at the group of strangers on her doorstep, confused. "Can I help you?" "Hi, you must be Ms. Miller? We're from Premier Properties, here to show the apartment to our clients," the agent said with a practiced smile. "Show the apartment? What are you talking about?" Ava looked baffled. "You must have the wrong place. This is my home." "No, this is the right place. The owner, Mr. Ethan Cole, has contracted us to sell this property." The agent held up the listing agreement. "See, this is Mr. Cole's signature right here." The color drained from Ava's face. She finally understood that when I said I would sell it, I wasn't joking. "No, that's impossible," she shrieked. "Ethan can't do this. This is our home." "Ma'am, please calm down," the agent said, frowning. "If you continue to cause a disturbance, we'll have to call the police." From inside, Leo's irritated voice called out, "Ava, who is it? It's so damn loud." He walked out of the bedroom and froze when he saw the crowd at the door. When he understood what was happening, his face turned even uglier than Ava's. He's selling the apartment? Then where are we supposed to live? He yelled at her. How should I know? Ava finally broke, tears streaming down her face. Ethan is trying to destroy us. This is your fault. Leo's eyes were filled with venom. You said he loved you. You said he'd leave you with everything. And now, we don't even have a roof over our heads. Ava was speechless. She probably never imagined that the man who had once been so gentle and doting could suddenly become so ruthless. And she never imagined that the young man she saw as full of drive and dreams would reveal such an ugly side the moment the money disappeared. Their love, faced with its first dose of reality, was already beginning to crumble. Chapter 5. The prospective buyers were scared off by the commotion. The real estate agent, left with no other choice, called me to report the situation. Mr. Cole, the two of them are refusing to leave. My team can't get them out. Call the police, was all I said. Sir, is that really necessary? I mean, she's your ex-wife. She isn't anymore, I said, my tone leaving no room for argument. Do as I say. Half an hour later, 2 police officers were at the apartment door. In the presence of law enforcement, Ava and Leo's bravado evaporated. Officers, it's a misunderstanding. This is my home. Ava tried to explain. One of the officers held up a tablet displaying a digital copy of the property deed. The owner's name was clearly listed, Ethan Cole. Ma'am, the legal owner of this property is Mr. Ethan Cole. He has every right to dispose of his assets. He is demanding that you vacate the premises immediately. If you fail to comply, we will be forced to take action against you for trespassing on private property. Ava was completely stunned. She had always assumed this was their marital property. It never occurred to her that I had protected myself from the very beginning. Leo's face was as dark as a thundercloud. He glared at Ava, the hatred in his eyes almost palpable. He had pinned all his hopes on her, thinking that by latching onto her, he could climb his way to the top. It turned out Ava was nothing without me. Urged on by the police, they began to pack their things in disgrace. Ava's designer bags, high heels, and luxury clothes were now just burdens. She wanted to take them all, but she couldn't possibly carry them. In the end, she managed to drag one suitcase out of the apartment, escorted out with Leo. Standing on the sidewalk, Ava looked up at the building she had called home for the past year and finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Leo stood beside her, chain-smoking, looking at her with pure disgust. Cry, cry, cry. That's all you know how to do. What's the point? He threw his cigarette, but on the ground. If you weren't so useless, if you could have kept your man under control, we wouldn't be in this mess. Leo, how can you say that to me? Ava stared at him in disbelief. I gave up my home, my marriage for you. You gave up your home? Leo sneered. No, your home gave you up. Get a clue, Ava. You're nothing now. You have no money, no apartment, not even a job. What makes you think you can talk to me about love? His words were a knife, plunging straight into Ava's heart. She had always believed that Leo loved her for who she was, her kindness, her spirit. Only now did she finally understand. Leo never loved her. He loved her money. He loved the man behind her who could provide him with a life of comfort and ease. And now that man was gone. Her great love story had become a pathetic joke. I sat in my car, parked just around the corner, watching the scene unfold on a live feed from Hanson's phone. Does it hurt, Ava? Good. This is only the beginning. Next, I'll show you both what true despair feels like. Chapter 6. Homeless. Ava and Leo had no choice but to drag their luggage to the cheapest motel they could find. The $80 a night rate was painful for Leo. All the money he'd ever had came from me. Now that the tap was turned off, he was broke again. As for Ava, she was used to swiping my credit card and had no savings of her own. They were about to face the most basic of problems. They were out of money. The next day, Ava's mother showed up again. This time, she wasn't there to cause a scene. She was there to beg. She went to my parents' house. My parents are retired academics, decent people who value their reputation above all else. My ex-mother-in-law knelt before them, crying and wailing, saying she was wrong, that Ava was wrong, and begging them to talk some sense into me, to give her and Ava another chance. My mother, who has a soft heart, called me. Ethan, maybe you should let it go. To forgive is divine. Mom, I cut her off. Stay out of this. But She was your wife? She stopped being my wife the moment she betrayed me, I said, my voice cold. If you still consider me your son, you won't ask me to take her back. My father took the phone from her. His voice was firm. Ethan, you do what you think is right. We support you. A woman like that doesn't deserve forgiveness. After hanging up, I felt no hesitation. In my last life, it was my parents' soft-heartedness and my own hesitation that gave Ava and Leo a chance to recover. They used my mercy against me. They conspired with my business rivals, stole corporate secrets, and caused a catastrophic collapse in my company's finances. I was ruined overnight. In the end, they drove me to jump from the roof of this very building, the Pinnacle Tower, to be reborn and make the same mistake twice. I would deserve to die. That evening, Hanson informed me that Ava and Leo had a massive fight at the motel over money. Leo accused Ava of being a spendthrift, and Ava screamed that he was a useless freeloader who only knew how to live off a woman. It ended badly. Leo stormed out to spend the night at a 24-hour internet cafe, while Ava cried alone in the motel room. She tried calling her so-called best friends to borrow some money. But the wealthy wives she used to have lunch and spa days with suddenly changed their tune the moment they heard she and Mr. Cole were divorcing. Some claimed they were short on cash. Others simply didn't answer her calls. The rats were fleeing the sinking ship. She was finally learning what it meant to be alone. I could imagine her despair. How does it feel, falling from the clouds into the gutter? Don't worry, it's about to get worse. I called Hanson. Have a manager of that motel kick them out. On what grounds, sir? Tell them they were fighting all night and disturbing the other guests. I want them to be like rats in the street with nowhere to hide. I want them to know that in this city, if Ethan Cole doesn't want them to have a moment's peace, they won't get one. Chapter 7. After being kicked out of the motel, Ava and Leo were officially on the streets. It was late at night. They dragged their suitcase down empty sidewalks. A cold wind blew, and Ava shivered. The expensive Chanel coat she was wearing now looked like a cruel joke. What do we do now? She asked, her voice choked with tears. Leo ran a hand through his hair in frustration and yelled, How the hell should I know? You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? His patience had worn thin. As far as he was concerned, this woman was useless for anything other than crying. He started to regret ever getting involved with her. If it weren't for her, he would still be a promising student at Northwood, living a life of luxury on a generous scholarship. This woman had ruined everything. Leo, you were never like this before, Ava said, her heart sinking as she looked at his twisted, angry face. Before? Before you had money. You had Ethan Cole backing you up. Leo ripped away the last shred of pretense. What do you have now? You're a pathetic stray who's been thrown out of her own home, and you expect me to coddle you and worship you like I used to? Dream on. Ava swayed, her face as white as a sheet. She finally saw him for what he was. The man she was willing to throw her marriage away for didn't love her at all. He only loved the value she brought. The moment that value was gone, she was worthless in his eyes. They had a screaming match on the street corner that ended with Leo snatching the last few $100s from Ava's wallet and walking away without a second glance. He left her there alone, clutching her suitcase in the cold, night air, crying in utter despair. Hanson sent me the security footage of the incident. I watched it without expression, then deleted it. Sir, Ava's mother just called again. She said Ava hasn't eaten all day and is begging you to show some mercy. Is she dead from starvation? I asked coldly. No, not yet. Then let her starve. I'm not a saint, nor am I a philanthropist. Those who betray me don't deserve my sympathy. I want her to taste hunger, cold, and despair. I want her to pay the ultimate price for her stupidity. The next day, even more shocking news spread through the city. Leo Vance had been arrested for stealing a smartphone at an internet cafe. He was caught red-handed. When the police found him, he was on his way to sell the brand new iPhone he had just stolen. According to witnesses, as he was being arrested, he was screaming, Do you know who I am? My girlfriend is Ava Miller. Her husband is Ethan Cole. You can't arrest me. His outburst was recorded by others in the cafe and quickly posted online. The city was in an uproar. Everyone now knew that the boy toy living off a rich woman was not only a cheater, but also a common thief. Leo Vance's life was officially over. And it was all going exactly as I had planned. When a man who has known poverty his whole life gets used to taking shortcuts and then has a source of income cut off, he will inevitably resort to desperate measures to satisfy his greed. Theft was only the first step in his downward spiral. Chapter 8. For the theft, Leo was sentenced to 15 days in county jail. For Ava, the news was another devastating blow. Her last pillar of support had crumbled. With nowhere else to go, she finally went home. She dragged her suitcase back to the old, run-down apartment complex where she had grown up. Her mother opened the door. Seeing her daughter's pathetic state, her mother's face showed no sympathy, only undisguised disgust. "Look what the cat dragged in. You've brought nothing but shame to this family." Ava's father came out of his room, saw her, heaved a deep sigh, and went back inside, not even bothering to say a word. "Mom, I was wrong," Ava cried, falling to her knees. "Please, just let me come inside. I have nowhere else to go." "Nowhere to go?" Her mother sneered. "I thought you were so clever. Weren't you the one who threw away a catch like Ethan for that pretty boy? How dare you show your face here now? I must have been blind to ever think that broke loser was better than Ethan. You had the perfect life as a rich man's wife, but you had to throw it all away for some stupid fantasy of love. Well, look at you now. He tossed you out like trash. Are you happy?" Every word from her mother was like a dagger in Ava's heart. She sobbed harder, banging her head on the floor. "Mom, I know I was wrong. I really do. Please let me come home. I'll never do it again." Too late. Her mother kicked her suitcase away and pointed a finger at her face. "I don't have a daughter as shameless as you. Get out, and don't ever come back." With a loud slam, the door shut in Ava's face. From outside came Ava's heart-wrenching sobs. From inside, her mother's cold voice. "What are you crying for? You made your bed. Now lie in it. This family can't afford this kind of embarrassment." This scene, too, was recorded by the people I had assigned to watch her. When Hansen showed me the video, I was in the middle of signing a billion-dollar contract. I didn't even look up. "Sir, should we do something?" Hansen asked. "No." I signed my name and closed the folder. Her mother is right. Some people have to hit rock bottom before they learn. Now that she's hit it, let her wallow in it. Shunned by her own parents, Ava fell into total despair. She was penniless, with nowhere to go. That night, she curled up in the stairwell of her parents' building, cold and hungry. She thought about the past. She remembered how I used to wait up for her every night with a hot meal ready. She remembered how she'd mention a craving for something, and the next day, I would have scoured the city to find it for her. She remembered how I'd stay up all night by her bedside when she was sick. The quiet, simple happiness she had once scorned as boring had now become an unattainable dream. She was consumed by regret. She took out her phone, and with the last of its battery, she sent me one final text message. This time, there were no accusations or demands, only a pathetic plea. "Ethan, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I regret everything. I shouldn't have betrayed you. Please, just give me one more chance. We can start over. I'll do anything you say. Please." The message was sent into a void. She had no way of knowing I had blocked her long ago. I would never see her apology, and I had no desire to. Chapter 9. Ava's complete breakdown happened faster than I expected. After 2 days on the streets, she couldn't take it anymore. She sold her last valuable possession, the Chanel coat, for a few $100s and checked into the cheapest motel she could find. Then, she started desperately calling everyone she knew who was connected to me. My parents, my friends, even business associates she had only met a few times. She cried to every single one of them, confessing how much she regretted her actions, how much she still loved me, and begging them to put in a good word for her. The result was predictable. My circle consists of the city's elite. They are sharp, discerning people. Who would risk offending me for a disgraced, cast-off wife? Everyone avoided her like the plague. Finally, she called Hansen. "Mr. Hansen, please, I'm begging you. Can you just tell Ethan I want to see him? Just for a minute," she pleaded, her voice hoarse and desperate. Following my instructions, Hansen replied coolly, "Ms. Miller, Mr. Cole is a very busy man. He doesn't have time to see you. Just 5 minutes. No, 1 minute is fine. I just want to apologize to him in person." "And what good would that do?" Hansen retorted. "Ms. Miller, you should have thought of the consequences before you made your choice. I know I was wrong. I really know. Ava was sobbing on the other end of the line. Mr. Hansen, you've been with Ethan the longest. You know him best. He's not this cruel, is he? He used to love me so much. That was then. Hansen cut in. You are the one who destroyed that love. All Mr. Cole wants now is for you to disappear from his life. Completely. That was the final straw. After the call, Ava locked herself in her cheap motel room and didn't come out for a full day. That evening, the motel owner got worried, broke down the door, and found her on the floor. She had cut her wrists. There was blood everywhere. Luckily, she was found in time. She was rushed to the hospital, and they saved her life. The news reached me quickly. Hansen asked, Sir, are you going to the hospital? I was reviewing an acquisition proposal for a European tech firm and didn't look up. Is she dead? No. Good, I said, turning a page. Pay the medical bills from my personal account and make sure she doesn't die. Death would be too easy for her. I want her to live. I want her to live a long life, branded as a traitor, drowning in poverty and regret. I want every day to be a reminder of her own stupidity. I want every happy couple she sees to be a testament to what she threw away. That is my true revenge. Chapter 10, Ava's suicide attempt, made no waves. It was just another pathetic chapter in her now infamous story. After being discharged from the hospital, she disappeared. Hansen later told me she had found a job as a waitress in a diner. $3,000 a month, with room and board included. She was learning to do her own laundry, to eat $5 meals from a styrofoam box, to ride the bus for an hour to get to work. The life of the working poor, a life she had once looked down on, was now her reality. Occasionally, I would have Hansen send me a recent photo of her. In the pictures, she wore no makeup, her expression numb. Her hands, once perfectly manicured, were now red and raw from the harsh dish soap. The glamorous, adored socialite was gone forever. In her place was a woman worn down by life, stripped of all her former glory, as plain and unremarkable as anyone else. I looked at the photos with a calm heart. There was no satisfaction, no pity. It was like looking at a stranger. 2 weeks later, Leo got out of jail. The first thing he did was track Ava down at the diner. She was in the middle of her shift, carrying a tray of plates through the greasy dining room. Leo stormed in, grabbed her by the wrist, his face a mask of rage. Ava, how dare you just work here like nothing happened? I went to jail because of you. You owe me. Let go of me. Ava cried out, her face pale with fear as she struggled to break free. Pay me. Give me money. Leo started clawing at her clothes like a madman, trying to get to the cash in her apron. The diner erupted in chaos. Customers screamed. The owner yelled. Finally, the cook ran out of the kitchen brandishing a meat cleaver, which was enough to scare Leo off. Ava collapsed onto the floor, her uniform torn, her hair a mess, a picture of utter humiliation. She stared at Leo's retreating back, her eyes empty, as if her soul had left her body. The entire incident was captured perfectly by the diner's security camera. That night, the video was all over social media. The title was catchy, Drama of the Year. Gold digger brutally attacked by boy toy. Fairy tale romance ends in tragedy. The video ended with a split screen. On one side, a wedding photo of Ava and me. On the other, an old inspirational promotional photo of Leo from his university days. The contrast was brutally ironic. The comments section exploded. LOL. Karma is a BH. She dumped her husband for this loser, and now the loser is beating her up. She deserves it. This guy is trash. A leech who turns violent when the money runs out. Scum of the earth. I feel bad for the original husband. Imagine being cheated on like that. Feel bad for him? You have no idea. I heard the husband is a total powerhouse. He orchestrated this whole thing, destroyed them without lifting a finger. This is what you call revenge served cold. OMG. For real? That's epic. I need the details on this CEO. I turned off my phone, picked up my glass of whiskey, and walked to the window. Below me lay the business empire I had built. Ava, Leo, do you see now? In the face of absolute power, your pathetic love, your dignity, your future. It was all just a bubble I could pop with a flick of my finger. The game is over. Chapter 11, the viral video, was the final nail in the coffin for Ava and Leo. They became the laughingstock of the entire city. Ava was fired from the diner. No other establishment would hire her. Leo became a social pariah, despised and recognized wherever he went. Their lives had hit a dead end. A few days later, an unexpected visitor was kneeling outside my office. It was Ava's father. The proud, lifelong teacher was now a broken man, his face gaunt and tear-streaked. He looked as if he had aged 10 years overnight. "Mr. Cole, I'm begging you. Please let them go." He bowed low before me, his forehead nearly touching the ground. "They know they were wrong. They really do. Please be the bigger person. Give them a chance to live. If this continues, you'll drive them to their deaths." I watched him silently. Hanson moved to help him up, but I stopped him with a look. "Mr. Cole, I'm begging you." Ava's father sobbed. "Ava, she's still my daughter. I can't just stand by and watch her die." "She won't die," I finally said, my voice as cold as ice. "I paid to save her life." Her father looked up, stunned. "I pay the hospital bill," I stated flatly. "I'm keeping her alive, not so she can have a good life, but so she can atone for her sins." "Ethan." "Sir," I cut him off. "You are a good man, but your daughter is not. When she betrayed me, did she ever consider giving me a chance to live? And Leo, the promising young man your family admired so much, who spent my money while sleeping with my wife, did he ever think about giving me a chance? In our last life, when they cornered me on the rooftop of this very building, did they show me an ounce of mercy?" I said that last part very quietly. Ava's father couldn't understand it, but he could feel the chilling, deep-seated hatred in my words. He collapsed onto the floor, his face ashen. "I'll see you out," I said, standing up. Without looking at him again, I walked toward the door. When I reached it, I paused and looked back at the man who had aged so much in so little time. "Sir, out of respect for how you once treated me, let me give you a piece of advice. Forget you have a daughter. It will be better for you and for her." Then I opened the door and walked out. Outside, the sun was shining. Behind me, I left a man in his own private abyss. Ava's father never came to see me again. I heard he fell seriously ill. After recovering, he took an early retirement, and he and his wife moved back to their quiet hometown. They never returned to the city. With their actions, they had followed my advice. They had given up on Ava. Now, Ava was truly alone in the world. Her life was nothing but an endless tunnel of regret and darkness. Sometime later, Hanson informed me that Leo Vance had been arrested for his involvement in an armed robbery. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. 10 years. The best years of his life would be spent behind bars. By the time he got out, the world would be a different place with no room for him. As for Ava, Hanson told me someone had seen her one last time in a seedy massage parlor in the city's underbelly. She was wearing heavy makeup and a revealing dress, smiling seductively at men who passed by. The woman who once found my quiet life boring, who chased after a spiritual connection, was now selling her last shred of dignity just to survive. I told Hanson to stop reporting on her. From that day forward, whether she lived or died, whether she was rich or poor, it had nothing to do with me. My revenge was complete. It was clean, swift, and absolute. I never laid a hand on them, never said a harsh word to their faces. But with the sharpest, most silent of blades, I had carved them up, piece by piece, and cast them into a hell from which they would never return. I destroyed everything they cared about. Leo's future, Ava's love, and their shared obsession with my money. That is the highest form of revenge. 1 year later, a lavish corporate gala was being held on the top floor of the Pinnacle Tower. As the host, I moved through the crowd of industry titans and city elites, a glass of champagne in my hand. "Ethan, you're a powerhouse. You make us old-timers feel ancient," a real estate mogul said, clapping me on the shoulder. "You're too kind, Mr. Davison," I replied with a humble smile. "Mr. Cole, I heard you recently acquired that major European green energy firm. A brilliant move. Truly leaves the rest of us in the dust. Just a small venture." As I mingled, I spotted a familiar face. It was my new executive assistant, Chloe. She was cornered by a few sleazy-looking older men. Though she maintained a polite smile, I could see the impatience in her eyes. I walked over, placing a hand naturally on her shoulder. "Gentlemen, excuse me. I need to have a word with my assistant." The men saw me, and their expressions immediately shifted to fawning smiles. They made their excuses and scattered. "Thank you, Mr. Cole," Chloe said quietly. "Of course." I looked at her. She was wearing a sharp, tailored white pantsuit, her long hair tied back. She looked professional and beautiful. She was nothing like Ava. Chloe was intelligent, capable, ambitious, and she never tried to hide it. She knew what she wanted, and she worked tirelessly to achieve it. She was my most trusted employee and the woman I admired most. "What are you thinking about?" I asked her. "I was just thinking that a year ago, I was a fresh graduate, sending out resumes everywhere and getting no replies," Chloe said, her eyes shining. "Now, I'm standing here, talking with people I used to only see on the cover of Forbes." She paused, turned to look at me, her gaze sincere. "Thank you, Mr. Cole, for giving me this opportunity. You're the one who seized it." I smiled, raising my glass. "To an even better future. To the future." Our glasses clinked together, a clear, bright sound. I looked out at the glittering cityscape, my mind at peace. The people and events of the past were like smoke in the wind. My real life, a life of boundless possibilities, was just beginning.